Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry, from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
Work hard in silence and let success be your bullhorn.
And Dale Hummel.
Take risk now and do something bold. You won't regret it.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
And I'm going to apologize. I'm struggling a bit from a health perspective today.
You're more than struggling, okay? People, y'all just be glad that Dale isn't dead.
I'm sorry. I believe it that China has targeted me with their new
God
biowarfare bug. And you know what the worst part of it is?
Mm-hmm. It's winning.
We as American tax dollars probably paid for it. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Thank you.
Dr. Fauci doesn't exist anymore.
No, but back when he already sent a lot of money over there. Many dollars.
Okay, Dale's sick. He's dying. He doesn't know anything. So all I can tell you about the world is we have 900 million problems, but none of that matters because the only thing that was on the news one entire day of this week, a whole day, was a pro-Israel rally in D.C. And again, I am fine with being pro-Israel. It is fine. I'm with it. Whatever. I think this is a little much.
I get it, and I'm going to confess, I have
the government shuts down on Friday. Nobody cares.
Ryan, I didn't even know it was going to shut down Friday.
Because
I'm not even.
All that mattered was the pro-Israel rally yesterday. That's it. That is all that matters.
And I haven't looked at my phone on the news. I haven't even watched Garage News. I've watched nothing. This is a busy week for Ryan, and I have both been at the North American for many days. I don't know how many days, but many days.
I've been here since last Friday.
I believe that is when I got in, a little later in the day than you, but yes, that is when I got in. And I need to apologize. I was a bad parent.
It's not a current event, sir. That was like 3 months ago.
It's a current event for me. There's a couple things I want to say. So our occasional, I can't speak. I apologize. Our occasional guest on Beyond the Ring and the host of the Beyond the Realm, the couple episodes or 3 that are out there, I believe, my son Chase, last week or 2 weeks ago, or I don't remember when, was the champion, I should say, for goat production and placement. So we're very proud of that fact. But just as proud, I had the opportunity to work with Chase and his teammates for the National Quiz Bowl here at the Nile, and yesterday they were named National Champion 4-H Quiz Bowl team. Chase was the second high individual. His teammate Olivia Scheich was third. Other teammates Hunter Scheich, Izzy Pistorius, and Blaine Holman. All team members in my mind. And Ryan, you can only imagine when I get focused on something, sometimes the rest of the world doesn't exist, and I tune into that and only that. These poor kids, they went through a lot the last 3 or 4 days. You could not have.
It's just a reflex contest. That's all it is.
You have to hit the buzzer quickly.
It is a reflex contest. That is all that is.
I would agree with that. But it's special when I'm able to help coach a team that my son's on or Chase was on. It was good. I felt good about it. I am sick, but I felt good about it. The skillathon, Illinois wins the skillathon, second in the livestock judging contest. It was a good day for Illinois. Other than the politics being terrible and me wanting to move out of Illinois had a good day in the 4-H of things at the Nile. I have a current events question for you.
Uh-huh.
So you say the only thing on the news was a pro-Israel rally in D.C., I assume.
Yes.
The White House.
That was all that was on there yesterday.
So when there was non-pro-Israel rallies, Hamas rallies, I believe, remember when they got up to the gate of the White House and they sprayed paint the pillars? And
Yep. All those things.
Did the pro-Israel do anything out of line, break through the boundaries?
No, it was all love and light and all the thing. I mean, like, again, I think they should take, not us, Israel should take Hamas out, Iran, all of them, they're terrorists. I get it. I'm fine with it, whatever. I am very frustrated with this country and its leaders because, again, everything that's happening in other countries is not as important as what is happening in our country. The government is going to shut down on Friday if they don't do something. They don't
Are they going to
care.
pass another extension of some sort, we assume?
They're trying, but they don't have to vote.
So the Republicans aren't going to pass a budget unless there's money for the southern border, I assume.
The Republicans do not like the new speaker. They don't like him now. They did. They don't. I don't know. It's a mess, and
That doesn't work.
yeah,
That does
again,
not work.
So I
And
I hate
I'm-
Ukraine. I'm over all the wars. Whatever needs to happen over there, they need to figure it out themselves, and we need to get back to fixing this damn country. That is my opinion.
Agreed.
Period. But there's new polling out. Would you like to hear about the new polling?
Oh, I would.
Today.
My boy.
Today. Yeah, he sucks. But anyway, and you know that Tim Scott dropped out of the GOP race. So now
I didn't even know that.
yeah, so now it's Trump, your boyfriend DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Viagra Ramshackle, Chris Christie, and then those two other people.
Christie has not dropped out yet.
No, those two other, that one that you like, and
So-
that other Asa whatever person, and that Burgess Biggers. I don't know. Anyway, but
Okay, so Christie, this any of them that are still in the race outside of Nikki Haley, probably DeSantis, and obviously Trump, any of the others that are still in there with where their poll numbers are, and I don't know where Viagra's at, the only reason they're in there is for obviously publicity, face recognition, all those things for maybe a later date, for a book, whatever, because they have to know they cannot win.
well, none of them can win because Trump now, and this poll came out today, people, he is now at 62%, a record high.
Wow.
Record high. 62%.
Did they finish his trial this week or?
No,
Going.
it's still going. DeSantis is at 14, Nikki Haley's at 11, and the rest of them are under 5. But I mean, it's fine. The other thing about the polling that I find very, very interesting is like Biden's job approval is at its worst ever, like 37%, I believe, is what the number was. And like men.
So you're telling me it's 50-some to 37?
No, that's
Or
his
disapproval
approval rating.
God.
Yes, his approval rating. Yeah, no, his approval rating. Abysmal. But like all these. So like, okay, so men just in this poll, 63% of men do strongly disapprove of Biden. Voters under the age of 45, 62% strongly disapprove of Biden. Hispanics, 60% strongly disapprove of Biden. College degree, 57% strongly disapprove of Biden. Black voters, 41% strongly disagree with Biden. It's not good. It's not good for him. So again,
No, I think it's good. It's just not good for him.
I think that man is probably not going to see the general election, but that's that's today's polling. But it's a mess. Again, I just do not understand that. Why is he still there? Why?
I don't know. Has there been anything said about the money trail from China to Joe?
No, again, the
Nothing.
pro-Israel rally is the only thing that happens.
It's a good thing I wasn't watching the news this week. I would be angry.
Now, the Speaker Johnson, he did what hold on, let me make sure I get this right. He suggested that the impeachment inquiry of Biden would be moving into the next appropriate step. Now, I don't know what that means, but that was his wording.
That's better than not.
Again, I don't know what that means, but
And Fox and Gerard, not even the conservative news is covering this.
nope. No.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
But
How about something more positive than no current event?
that's it. That's all there is. I mean, again, there are wars in other countries that matter, and that's it. But if that's all you have,
I got nothing else. I got nothing. Period. I've been a dad coach, quiz bowl coach for a few days, and showing goats and no news.
Okay, so since the goat show at Louisville is tomorrow, we will do the top 10 national goat exhibitors right now for the BTR.
In honor of the goat.
Yeah, in honor of the goat show and the BTRJLA. In first, Travis Arney of Indiana. In second, Reagan Arney of Indiana. In third, Audrey Poling of West Virginia. In fourth, Piper Liska of Arizona. In fifth, Alex Willis of Delaware. In sixth, Colby Wilson of Delaware. In seventh, Echo Bartles of Colorado. In eighth, Addison Sharp of Utah. In 9, Evelyn Lund of Indiana. In 10th, Piper Crooks of Danville, Indiana. So that is the current top 10 in the BTRJLA for national goats. I want to give a shout out to our national cattle sponsor, McGrew Equipment, for 2023. McGrew Equipment is located in Seven Valleys, Pennsylvania, and is one of the largest used farm and industrial equipment dealers in the Northeast. Their weekly hybrid auctions allow for them or allow for both in-person and virtual bidding. As a full-service auction company, they offer virtual sales, off-site sales, complete liquidations, inventory reductions, and estate sales. Let McGrew sell for you. So, thank you, McGrew Equipment Company, for your sponsorship at the BTRJLA for the last 2 years.
And it's winding down. I'm getting more calls about when will you be updating. It's just every day they want updated results.
Well, it happens every Sunday. So
every Sunday. I think you've said that before.
Lots of times.
I will continue to pass it on when they ask me about those kind of things. And I usually say, I just don't know. You're going to need to ask Ryan.
And again, it happens every Sunday, just like clockwork.
Well, I would like to thank Badger Brawl once again this week. They are hosting
you trying to get to
show.
judge again?
No, I'm just taking an episode sponsor and appreciate them jumping in to help out. December 1st through the 3rd at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Guys, this is a well-organized show, and I think one of the best in the Midwest, obviously one of the first for the young cattle this time of year. They bring in some of the best steers and heifers in both sides of the rings. It's good, guys. Check it out. More information, go to badgerclassic.com for additional information. And once again, ShowFresh H2O is sponsoring this episode. American made, purchased at your local farm store, supply trailer, or at swampfox.com. And Ryan, I was thinking, if I would have had ShowFresh H2O in the water, maybe I wouldn't have contracted the new China bug.
If that can do that, then they are literally targeting the wrong market. They can make.
I don't want to make that claim, but it's always an idea. Thank you, ShowFresh H2O. It is appreciated. And should we tell them our struggles we had with the topic? And thankfully, Ryan thought back the one that we were going to do, and we haven't. This could be our current event, Ryan. It ties to current events. But our topic is assistant judges.
Yes.
How are they selected? Who are they? And why do we have them?
It's a very timely topic because we've had Kansas City, we've had Louisville, and a lot of those shows have a 2-person judging system. And again, we've talked on here about this before. We had a whole episode about 1 judge, 2 judge, 3 judge more, whatever. But
I liked that episode. I loved it.
But I think at these bigger shows, I think a pair of judges is probably a very good idea for multiple reasons. I think, number one, if you are judging the number of animals that you see at some of these larger national major shows, then there is more of a likelihood that you might miss something if you were out there by yourself. And that would be me or anybody else that is out there doing it. It just, the more numbers there are, the more likely you are to maybe miss something. I also think that it is a comfort to a lot of judges to be able to talk about the animals, what's out there, bounce things off each other. Did you see this? Did you what do you think about this? All this other stuff. So I like that. And I also, again, I think it is definitely more difficult to get to two judges than it is one judge in terms of the politics of it all. So I think there's a lot of benefit to a two-person judging system. I think that the things is like, how do they go about it? Is it, two people equal co-judges? Is it a head judge, an associate judge? All these things that are different, how they get picked, whatever. So I think there's lots of things that we can discuss and talk about and probably give our opinions on, because I don't think there is, in picking two judges, I don't think there is a more common or a common way to go about it. Or at least I don't know of it.
No, I think it's all over the board, and I'm not against variety. We can even talk about like the Denver style steer show where there are three judges and they publish the placings. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go to it, but it seems like Ryan had talked about, I believe they're leaning towards, or we're seeing a little bit more of this, and I don't know if it's a conscious effort. Maybe the lead judge is contacted saying, hey, can I bring somebody along? I don't know the mechanics of why, but just as Ryan stated, I think there's a lot of good. Is there maybe some negative to it? Probably, but I think the good outweighs the bad, and it does seem like we're kind of going in that direction. I don't know if there needs to be a set way to do it, but I think we could probably talk about some of those things that Ryan already mentioned, bouncing those ideas off. If you have two judges out there in a big show, one of them's likely to catch something that if you didn't have two out there, that single judge may have missed. And I think ideally we just want to do whatever we can to make for the best outcome for those exhibitors in terms of getting a fair shake, making sure you get a good look, all of those things. And I think it can be done. Don't take this the wrong way that a single judge can do this. But I think I'll just say it's easier if you have somebody to bounce it off of. You have another set of eyes looking at things. I think if it's done correctly, we can move through the show even more efficiently, and kids are going to get more one-on-one time with one of those judges. If we have, say, a lead judge that pulls off their top end of the class, top 5, 10, whatever it is, the associate or the other co-judge could sort the others and go through and individually talk to each one of those kids before they're dismissed from the ring, so that they get that time. And for example, in the sheep and goat ring, we're usually pulling 5 head out and talking those 5. And the kids from there down in a big show, the judge it's not always going through and talking to each of those individuals. So you could be in 6th place and really have no idea, good or bad, what they thought or he or she thought of that particular animal. So there's definitely some positive things about it.
Yeah. And so I think that no matter what species it is, I do think that there is a greater chance to get some interaction with at least one of the judges when there are two out there. And I think that's part of the thing. And I also think that if you're going to have two judges, I think the best thing to do is to let them kind of decide how they want to work together. But I also think it needs to be clear. Like, I think it needs to be announced. Okay, so if it is a head judge and then an associate judge, then we need to know that. We need to say that Dale Hummel is the head judge and Clifton is the associate judge, or, stuff like that. If it's co-judges, say that. Because I think where two judges get a bad rap sometimes is people are unclear on how it's working, who's doing what, etc. And it's not clear, and then again, you have people gripe and complain because more than anything, they just don't understand, I think, is what it is. And
no, I'd agree, and you're there. The door is just wide open for that criticism, and you open that door and don't give an explanation or make for clarity, that goes that way pretty quickly.
Right. And so I think whatever way you want to do it, whether it's co-judging or head judge and associate judge, whatever, just make that very clear to the exhibitors, the families, whatever, on what those lines are. And then I do think that when a show goes to select these judges, etc., I have seen many, many times. And again, not, I don't want to say all the time, but I have seen in several instances where a show will just pick 2 judges and stick them out there. And I don't, that never works out. It just doesn't. Because again,
I would not want to say never, but it's less like, and I think on the surface, it always looks fine. They pretend to get along, but you could have some very conflicting ideas, and not saying one's right and one's wrong that we talked about last week. They're just from different backgrounds and different environments, and they're going to have different opinions. They may see all the differences exactly the same, but it's hard to get 2 people with the exact same priorities.
That's what I'm talking about. And so I think that when a show does that, we're just going to put 2 people out there and here you go, get after it. I think that opens up for a disaster in a lot of ways. Because again, I'm not saying that both of them aren't competent, capable, or whatever, but if one person likes one type and the other one likes the exact opposite type, they can sit there and see all the same things all day long and they're never going to agree. And then it gets frustrating and, difficult to follow. And a lot of times in those situations, probably there's a whole lot of, don't even know the word, like compensation for, okay, well, this last class, we went with you. This class, we're going to go with me and stuff like that. And so I think that's a problem. I think I understand that shows want control over who they pick to judge. I think that's fine. But either way, if it's going to be 2 people, then I think you contact one and you say, you know what, we want you to judge the XYZ show. We would like it to be a 2-judge system. Could you give us 3 names that you would be comfortable with of somebody out there guiding, assisting, judging with you, etc. So that way, at least whoever this judge is goes into this experience. You know what? I trust this person. I respect this person. I know that even though we may not completely see eye to eye on every single thing, we're definitely on the same page at least. And I think that's important. I think it works best if they just let that person say, like, if somebody contacted me and said, hey, we want you to judge this deal, like if it was hogs, I'd probably say, okay, and we want another judge, I'd be like, all right, give me Cade Hummel. That's who it's going to be. And then he could teach me how to handle pigs, which the crowd would find very entertaining. But anyway, I think that's probably the best way. But I also know that shows want to have control over who is out there. So let the judge give a list of names and go at it.
No, I think so. And there's other situations that weren't necessarily, the show didn't come out and say, hey, we'd like an associate judge. And I can use myself as an example. And several years ago when Tara was active, even when she was in high school, I would take her along, and not necessarily as a partner or a co-judge, but partially because a lot of times at these shows, the staff or the volunteers are short on ring help, and she could come along to the shows with me, help out in the ring. And even at that point, when she got a little bit older, I would bounce ideas off her, or she would be the go-between between myself and the show manager or the person checking in that, hey, there's a crazy calf coming in, or there's an exhibitor of special needs that we need to adjust just a little bit to best accommodate their experience. So there's some of those things. And as she progressed in terms of age and experience, it became more, when I would take her with me, we would judge the show together and discuss those things. So there's a lot of positive, and I've seen others bring their kids out in the ring, or just a younger person. And I know there are some shows that have talked about, we need to have an associate or one main judge and a younger associate to start bringing them up through the ranks. I don't know that it should be based at all on age or anything like that. And each show can do what they want. But I think in general, other than the negatives that Ryan brought out, I think it's a positive. I think the biggest positive is it's harder for the political bullshit to happen. But if that lead judge is bringing along an associate, it's possible they're going to go along with it. But it makes it harder. It definitely goes that direction. So I see a lot of positive, Ryan, coming from this. So I'm kind of happy that they're taking that general direction.
And you brought up a point that probably I'm not going to be super popular about. But again, I do not understand, and it doesn't matter if it's one judge or 45 judges or any of this other stuff. Like you said that some of these people want this new young judge or whatever to get them experience, all this stuff. I do not believe any judge, I've said this before, I will say this again, should ever be picked because of an age or if you're man or a woman or what color you are, any of this. That does not matter to me. Pick somebody that is competent and capable, regardless of their age or anything else. That don't put those stipulations on it. That just sends me over the edge. But anyway.
Yeah, that didn't, when we talked about this very briefly, 5 minutes before we came on as we're discussing possible topics, that did come up, and that is kind of a hot spot for you.
I do not like it. I did not. I think it is.
Well, and I find it interesting.
I just think it's really stupid to do.
It's almost age discrimination, racist, sexist. What category do we put this in?
It didn't matter because none of it. If you're man, woman, gay, straight, young, old, none of that matters.
Trans? What about trans?
Jesus Christ. I mean, you just like, it doesn't matter. It does not. It does not matter. That does not, unless you're super duper young or super duper old, I don't think age has anything to do with it because it's not going to affect you judging the show unless it is like something. I'm going to say it. I have seen some people that are up in their years that it has been a struggle for them to physically get through a show. But other than that, I don't think age matters. I really don't. I don't think you should throw a 15-year-old out there to judge Louisville. But I
think that there's that situation that when we have that second judge or whatever, the first time exhibitors show to two judges, there's some confusion. But then again, we talk about going and watching that first class or so you understand it. I remember that in some cases, say at a county fair level, if there's two of us out there or whatever it may be, if I had Tara with me or Chase or Katie or whatever, I would say, I'll focus on me. Don't worry about the other one. They're pretty much helping in the ring or whatever it is. But you know what it does, Ryan? If you have two of them out there, and I can think back to Kansas City and the sheep and goat ring or the cattle ring. I didn't get over to the pigs as much. I like the idea of two judges out there, and some are going to say, well, that's confusing for the kid. Well, no, that just makes you be a little more prepared, watch a couple classes, understand how those two judges are working through the ring, and it heightens the importance of ring awareness that you can show to two people. I'm not saying that maybe they'll here's the lead judge show to that, but there's no reason why you can't try to make that animal look good each time one of those individuals is looking at it. And I like that concept. I like that reward for having that heightened ring awareness.
No, yeah. Again, I don't think it makes it more difficult on the exhibitors or anything like that. I think that's all a bunch of bull. But I'm not saying that this should only be used for big shows or whatever. But I think in the bigger shows that it's probably good. And for all the reasons we stated, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand why this happens at jackpot shows some. And I don't understand it, especially not unless it's a really, really big one. But it does, and it's fine. I think at times that probably the biggest negative about this, other than we don't have clear roles defined and the exhibitors and whatever aren't sure, well, is this person the head judge or is this person the associate or the co-judge, whatever, all this other stuff, is sometimes it can take much longer than what a show with one judge does. And
especially if those priorities are not aligned.
Right. And again, not always, but a lot of times it can take a great deal longer. And that's why I don't understand why it gets used at smaller shows and stuff like that, because there's really no need for it. But
well, I think it's still the same concept, just to get that extra set of eyes. And I know there's not as many animals, but it's still, I I think the judges are more comfortable than other one out there. I think it makes that job easier. I think it makes it in a situation that's, I mean, I hope the end result is better, is maybe the best way for me to put it. So I get it, but I would like, if you're a bigger show, I'm going to go back to the state fair national show level. If you as show manager are going to bring in 2 judges, take advantage of that and go through a little bit of a format that, hey, are you guys comfortable doing A, B, and C? And one of those things is that one of those judges or alternate, I don't care what they do, just so one of those judges can spend a little more time with the bottom half the class or whatever way they decide to sort it. And they can give those exhibitors some one-on-one explanation of what they liked and didn't like and so forth, which in a small show, one judge can go through and do all that. But it's just not realistic usually from a time perspective at some of the larger shows.
Yeah, and I understand that. And I just want to, again, I don't want people to think that I think that Texas major shows do everything the best or anything like that. But for years,
they're the biggest and they're the best.
Right,
and what else
right. I'm not that Texas person, but anyway, I do think that the way that Texas major hog shows have ran for years and years and years, there's 2 judges and one of them is the lead and half the breeds and the other one is the lead and the other half and all that other stuff. So when you have it like that, they are co-judges, but we know when we're supposed to take the lead and not, and everybody's out there, it's announced, all this other stuff. Everybody gets, to swing the big stick at some point, all that other stuff. And so I think that way it works very, very well. And it has for multiple years. And so
I'm not as familiar with each individual major, but I believe most of them, or I'm going to say some of them, so I'm not misspoken here or mistaken. Do they not contact one of the judges and ask them for a few names, and then they select off that list?
That's what I understand.
I've never
been in the room, so I don't know.
Or they present here, hey, we'd like you to judge the Houston Hog Show. Here's 3 names. Which one would you like to judge it with you? I'm not sure which direction it goes, but probably both, depending on the major. But I think they've done it long enough. They've worked out some of the bugs, and it's being taken advantage of correctly, in my opinion, under that situation, rather than just turning 2 people out and say, go do whatever you want. Say, hey, this is how we've done it in the past, and it's worked very efficiently. Nothing wrong with saying, here's kind of a format that works.
Yeah. We talked about there's no perfect system, and this is not a perfect system either. But I think that it is got a lot of benefits. Some of the downsides that we talked about, sometimes it takes longer when the roles aren't defined for everybody. We don't know. And then I'm just going to be honest here. And again, this will probably get me some hate mail, and that's okay. Like the one thing is, and we all know that every show, it's not always great. It's just not. If anybody out here listening wants to tell me that every show they've ever been to has been judged wonderfully and good and all this other stuff, I'm going to say you're living in a tree. But I think the big hang up on this is when it's bad, and we know that there is that possibility, no one knows who to blame. Like when it's one person out there and it's a bad show, you know who to blame. When there's 2, you don't know if one person was just really over the top and had a loud voice and didn't listen to the other person, etc. And so that's what I hear. Other than the time that they think it takes too long, that's the other thing I hear. Well, when it's a train wreck, we don't know who it is, so we don't know if we don't go show to that person again or recommend that person, etc., etc. And I do understand that part from that side of it.
Agreed completely. And I think an example we can use, Ryan, that we can put judges together, and they even a lead judge selects one of their associates and so forth, or selects from a list. That doesn't mean they're going to perfectly agree, but if they're at least going in the same direction, that's good. Because look at Denver. I think those judges for the steer show are independently selected and brought together. There's no collaboration among the judges that, hey, I want to judge with A and B or C or whatever. Yeah. And it's Ryan, it's all over the board, is it not? Most of the time,
it can be, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, but those opinions are that way. But Ryan, I can use us as an example. When the few times we're in the ring together, you would assume that we would argue and not get along, but it hasn't been that bad. But those are jackpot shows that there weren't as many decisions necessarily, difficult decisions, I would say, that are going to come to play. And if they ever get in a situation where those two judges were appointed by the show without any, I guess, discussion between the judges, who they want, who they don't want, things like that, it can go off the rails a little bit, and it can take longer. When in the ideal world, bringing that second judge in should help everything from a judge comfort level, from a confidence level, from a efficiency level, from not missing something, all of those things. It can be good. And I like that idea. I like the concept.
No. And again, this episode is going to be super short because we didn't have a topic till like 5 minutes before, and Dell's dying and he has a goat.
I'm fading. I apologize. I need to go check on some goats.
45
got
goats
a few things
to
do
tomorrow and all.
So you guys are going to be the most excited for a short episode, and that's okay. If you have a question and answer sponsor, I'm ready to move into that.
Oh my, you're just so fast. Like
I'm good. Yep, good.
Yeah, you just want off of here.
You're right. I'm struggling.
Poor Dale's gonna die. Louisville's done him in. The Quiz Bowl and the Goat Show has done Dale in. So I'm taking applications for new co-hosts because Dale's not gonna make it. So anyway, we want to thank Basic Animal Health for sponsoring the question and answer portion of the Beyond the Ring podcast. Basic Animal Health is dedicated to providing you natural solutions for your animal's needs with their 3 current products: Gut Health, Show Focus, and Trailer Ride. If you purchase from Basic Animal Health at www.basicanimalhealth.com and at the checkout code, use the code BTRJLA, we will receive a portion of the proceeds to help with BTRJLA awards.
Excellent, and thank you. It is time for question and answer. Ryan, this may even be 2 of the 3 will be some of the easier questions that you've had.
Oh, my.
The first one comes to us from Isabel. Is the duck slide back at Nile this year?
I would have no idea.
I know. You know how many videos I've had on Facebook Messenger, text, Snap. I've seen hundreds of duck slide videos, and I love every one of them. So the first thing that us as Quiz Bowl contestant team did when we got here or got to the show on Saturday morning, we went and checked out the duck slide. It is here. It's back.
Well, that's wonderful.
The ducks are 2 to 3 times bigger than usual, so they nearly break their neck when they go to reach for the feed and slide. It's good.
Oh, so now you are promoting ducks breaking their necks.
No, they're fine. They're fine. So yes, it is back.
Well,
question 2. That was a quick one.
Again,
the duck slide is in the food court, shopping area, petting zoo, champions area, all those things, kind of over on the far wall. But yeah, check it out. It's good. Tim, I might have to apologize. I had this question a couple weeks ago and I just missed it, but it's still semi-relevant. Will Ryan break out the fur for the North American?
It's 70 degrees here.
We did not know that when he submitted it.
Well, I'm just saying again.
Did you bring it?
I have a fur with me, yes, but again, it's 70. We have been sweating all week.
Why? What would make you want to wear a fur at a livestock show?
Because I do. I like fur.
Wouldn't it gather all the odors and just?
My Lord.
Wouldn't I'm asking.
No.
I don't know.
No.
I'm assuming these are expensive.
They are expensive, but again,
can I ask?
They can
the one you have with you.
No, we are not going to talk about that. I would like to know. No, we are not going to talk about that.
How about a range?
No. You are
over
just terrible. Yes, over 1,000. There you go.
over 5,000.
I'm not going there with you.
Then you would wear it into a barn and allow it to absorb all these odors. I just don't understand. That should be a pageant type.
Okay. Well, anyway, next. I have fur hair.
What color is it?
It's black.
What poor little animals died for this one?
Mink.
Lots of mink. How many do you think?
I don't know. I didn't.
You should look into that. You feel okay about taking the life of a couple hundred mink for your fur?
Yes, I do. Completely.
I hope they were raised in the outdoors organically.
Oh my God. Shoot me.
Okay, I've got to dig up our third question. I apologize here for taking just a moment, but I will find it. I hope.
Uh-huh.
I got it. It's a little longer.
Oh, good.
A lot longer.
Oh.
This one comes to us from Casey. Podcast idea. It's time to talk about the excessive hitting, slapping in the Market Lamb show ring. I think we've talked about it before. I'm watching the Market Lamb show at Nile, and the amount of time kids spend hitting top lines is beyond excessive. Don't get me wrong, tapping the sides to speed them up on the move isn't a problem. But on live stream, you watch kids use their fist to hit the loin or the hip. It's just too much. Do homework at home. Our industry is under a microscope already, and someone who started showing in the late 80s, I've been accosted by every activist from the county to national shows. We are opening ourselves up to PETA and every other animal rights type group. I hear both of you say weekly, we have to do better. How can we get them to stop? We've talked about this, have we not?
I know at some point we brought it up, and I'm not saying this lady's not wrong. And I understand like tapping one to get one to push harder, stuff like that. But again, the fist in the middle of the back, like she's talking about, I don't understand what that does. And I showed a lot of sheep, people. I've judged a lot of sheep shows, and I'm not sure.
I mean, we've talked about pushing the tops down. I think the fist back to the hip is just to get their attention, get them driving a little bit is my assumption. But everybody could use it for something different, I suppose. And I haven't seen excessive. I see more things going on, but not to the point where I consider that abusing the animal by any means. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I don't know that I've seen any drastic increase in it. I've seen them do a lot of these things, and I don't understand, and I think it's a little distracting, and I don't think it's of necessarily, if I'm judging a benefit, if that animal needs something like that to stay stuck, or if there's a reason, a purpose, I'm perfectly good. And I'm sure that everybody does it. In their mind, there's a purpose, as long as it's working and we're not too excessive with what we're doing in terms of abuse. I did not watch the Market Lamb show. And again, I'm not saying that it was or wasn't, because I don't know. I assume there must have been some that were a little bit bad, or this question wouldn't have came in.
I didn't watch it either. I was at cow show, but again, have I seen a few times where I thought, man, that person is like, I'm like, they're working out their frustration on their sheep. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know if I've seen it, like, watched a show and been like, okay, these children are angry and beating on their sheep.
Yeah, and I've seen it in the past, but I haven't seen any real increase.
Right.
As of I don't doubt they're giving that fist to the hip, hopefully not too hard, and pushing all of that's happening as much as ever, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, I see what she's saying, but I think the one thing that I'm always going to stand behind and say is every animal and every showman is different, and they have to do what works to get that animal to the best of its ability. And I have not seen abuse is what I'm going to say. I haven't seen abuse, I guess.
I would agree completely. Ryan, thank you for tolerating me being a little disheveled and disorganized on when we're going to get this done. And I look forward to our final day at the North American tomorrow with the Weather Goat Show. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
I like Waffle House.